In this lesson, we'll learn how to add and remove symmetry. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to add and remove symmetry. Let's carry on with the file from our previous example, and let's talk about adding or removing symmetry. First, to get started, we need to edit our form feature. So we'll right-click and select Edit. We've already talked about how to add symmetry during the creation of our primitive, but what if you decide after the fact that you need to have symmetry? Well, inside of our form tools, there's a section called Symmetry, and the drop-down allows us several different options. We have a mirror internal, a circular internal, we have a mirror duplicate and a circular duplicate, then we have the option to clear or isolate symmetry. For our example, the mirror internal option is going to give us what we want. When we select this, we need to decide on faces that go across the symmetry line. So for example, I can select this face as well as this face, and Fusion 360 finds the symmetry line. If there's any difference in geometry, it will adjust the secondary selection or the secondary side so that it's in line. For example, let's select Cancel, use Modify Edit Form, and make a slight adjustment to this face. I'm going to pull it up just slightly and say OK, then click in the canvas area to deselect. Next, we'll go to Mirror Internal and select Faces on both sides, and notice how it pushes it back down. It takes that secondary selection and changes it. Let's clear the selection and select our modified face first and then the secondary face on this side. Notice how it pushes the secondary selection up. So the order of selection is going to be important, especially if the geometry already doesn't match. Let's select OK and then right-click and repeat the mirror internal. This time we're going to go across the midplane here. Notice that when I made the first selection, a yellow face across our symmetry line got highlighted. This is because of the symmetry setting. Let's select OK and then make some selections on screen. Because of our symmetry lines, notice that the other faces on the opposite side of our symmetry line are getting selected as well. This means if we use Modify Edit Form, that all four of those faces will get moved up. For example, if we select over here and start to pull it out, it is moving the face across the symmetry line as well as across the symmetry line. What if we decided that at some point we didn't want to use symmetry anymore? We can choose to isolate the symmetry, which allows us to prevent that transformation, or we can simply clear the symmetry. We're going to select Clear and select the body and say OK. Notice that it completely removes the symmetry from this model. We weren't able to select a single orientation. We had to remove all of symmetry from the model. But this is a great way for us to begin a design, decide later on that we want to make it symmetric, and at some point we could also remove it and continue modeling. From here, we're going to save the file while we're still inside of the form workspace, so go ahead and select Save, and then we can move on to the next step.